Hello everyone, welcome back to Spiritual Book Reviews. This will be the intro to what I'm calling the spiritual healing part of schizophrenia. Now, healing is a subjective word because you have to go to a psychiatrist and a psychologist for healing. But what I'm talking about is I am going to introduce to the world healing techniques that you can use for the spiritual part of schizophrenia, and this is the introduction to that. I believe I am a high-functioning schizophrenic. I have been in recovery since 2007, and it is now 2018, so I've been at it for many years. I've been on many medications. I've been stabilized for a long time now. And I began my journey by going to a psychiatrist and then going to a psychologist. Once I got myself stabilized that way, then I started to research the wisdom of happiness through spiritual books. And what I found through my journey is that schizophrenia, not a lot of people know this, but schizophrenia, from my experience, is a two-part disease. It's what I call a mental handicap, and it's also a spiritual element to it, if you will. And there, like I said, needs to be three parts to treatment: one psychiatry, two psychology, and three spiritual. But the spiritual is nowhere to be found. So I feel like I'm introducing this to the world for the first time in relation to schizophrenia. And the posts that I make will be modern spiritual techniques used for any setbacks, but from my experience, they can be used for schizophrenia once you've gone to a psychologist and a psychiatrist. So when I say that schizophrenia is partially spiritual, I don't mean that specifically a schizophrenic is indefinitely possessed and needs to go to a church to have an exorcism done. I'm not saying that at all. There could be, like dark entities can attach to people, but I would take care of that in a different way than tradition would go, as far as going to a church and stuff like that. I would personally go to someone metaphysical, but that's a whole different can of worms. It's a whole different discussion. So I'm not saying that just because this is spiritual or partially spiritual, that the schizophrenic needs to go get an exorcism. I'm definitely not saying that. I'm also not saying that this is a substitute for psychology or psychiatry. I'm just saying that this is a helpful extra in addition to that, because like I said, I had already been stabilized with psychology and psychiatry for years before I got into spirituality, and that's kind of where I recommend you should be, where the schizophrenic should be when they start to take on spiritual well-being. So it is for spiritual well-being. It is from an open-minded spirituality. Like it comes from healing techniques from many different types of spiritualities, not just one. It's not religious. I don't know how to define it, but it's just the spiritual healing or treatment, I should say, techniques that I've learned over the course of many years. So look for my next posts, my next videos, and check them out, and get your schizophrenics ready, get your caretakers ready, and we'll see what we can come up with.